In part C of Outcome 27, I will show you how to solve quadratic equations by factoring. The first method we're going to use is the GCF method. Let's take a look at examples 1 and 2. In example 1, let's ask ourselves, what is the biggest number 6 and 30 can both be divided by? Biggest number they can both be divided by is 6. What do they share in terms of the variables? This one has an x squared, which remember represents x times x, and this is just an x, so the most they have in common is an x. Now, on the inside of the parentheses, you want to ask yourself, what's 6x multiplied with to give us 6x squared? So the 6 doesn't need to be multiplied by a number to make it a 6. We already have the 6. But the x needs to get multiplied with an x to make our x squared. Similarly, what does 6 get multiplied by to give us 30? That's a positive 5. And in this case, we do not need to multiply x by another x or by anything, because that in itself will already carry over to give us this x here. So this is equal to 0. That's step 1, factor out the GCF. Step 2, set each factor equal to 0. So the first factor we have here is 6x, and we set that equal to 0. Second factor is x plus 5. We set that equal to 0. Now we have two equations we need to solve. Let's solve the first equation, 6 times x equals to 0, by dividing both sides by 6. That cancels out our 6's here and leaves us with x equals 0. That is the first solution. X plus 5 equals 0. Let's cancel out the plus 5 by subtracting 5, which leaves us with, as these cancel out, x equal to negative 5. That is our second solution. So those are the 2 points where the parabola crosses the x-axis. Again, those are the x-intercepts. Now in example 2, we need to first set the equation equal to 0. That means let's get everything on one side of the equal sign. So you could think of it as subtract 11u from both sides, or remember I showed you, you can just simply think of it as moving this over to the other side. So we keep the u squared right where it is. This 11u, which is currently positive, moves to the left side of the equal sign, making it a negative. So minus 11u here. And let's bring down the equal sign. We left nothing on the right side, meaning 0. Now this looks more like the first problem. Let's look for our GCF. Is there a number they can both be divided by? The only number is 1, but in that case, there's no need to factor it. What else do they have in common? They both have a u in common. Both terms share a u. So now, inside the parentheses, what does u get multiplied to give us u squared? That's u, because u times u is u squared. U times what is minus 11u? That would be a minus 11, because that multiplied gives us minus 11u. Let's bring down the equal 0. That's step 2, factoring out the GCF. Now let's set each factor equal to 0. First we have u equal to 0. Secondly, we have u minus 11 equal to 0. We solve each equation for u. You should notice the first one, it is already solved. There's no solving to do here. U is already equal to 0. In the second, let's get the u by itself by canceling this minus 11 by doing the inverse, which is adding 11 to both sides. We go ahead and cancel our 11, bring down our u, equals 0 plus 11, 11. That's factoring using the GCF method.